So, I broke my foot doing laundry. Let me explain. It was a regular evening where I had minimal homework, so I decided to do my laundry. As, it had been 2 weeks and I was running out of clean clothes to wear. Little did I know that this would be the catalyst of my impending doom. For context, I am currently in university and living in a dormitory on the 3rd floor of a very, very old building. And to do laundry, I have to go down 4 flights of stairs to the basement. When I do laundry, I always wear my shower slip-on slides, as they are the easiest shoes to put on that I own, and very convenient. This is an important factor for what will happen later on. Now, I have done laundry quite a few times before, and it's been great. I mean, as much as a hot, swampy, loud laundry room can be. To get down to the laundry room, there's the option of taking the stairs or taking an elevator down. I already don't particularly like elevators, but on top of this, the elevator in my dorm is incredibly shaky and I am always terrified the line is going to snap and I will die. So, as it was time to do laundry, I got my giant laundry bag and box of soap and headed out. I was feeling particularly lazy that day and decided to take the elevator despite my aversion to them, but as I waited for the elevator, more and more time passed, and between the impatient person that I am, and being extremely eager to have a single night off, I ended up deciding to take the stairs, like I usually do. But this single moment of impatience was my fatal flaw, where our brave hero falls to his knees. The first step down, the very first one. My left foot slipped in my loose slides and it rolled suddenly to the left. Now, I'm not going to deny the allegations of being a klutz. I have tripped, fallen, bumped into things, rolled my ankle, etc. many, many times. Because of this, I'm used to experiencing the pain that comes from being a klutz and knew that the pain would go away in a few minutes and everything would be fine. Not this time, apparently. After I slipped, I continued walking down the stairs as normal, making it to the laundry room with minimal pain. Then I went on with my chores, like usual, got my laundry sorted, put it in the machine, and just as I was about to hit that start button, my foot started to hurt more, and more, and more, until I was in so much pain that I couldn't walk on it anymore without blinding pain. And then, I did the most adult thing in my life. I called my parents and told them what was going on. While on the phone, I was in so much pain that I couldn't stand on my own. And then suddenly, I was on the edge of blacking out. I could barely hear the loud laundry machines, my dad, or even myself. When I had finally calmed down enough to comprehend what my parents were even saying, my mom told me to take my laundry out of the machines and just return to my room. And so I did, limping to the elevator with a very heavy laundry bag in hand. With the help of a lot of crying and cursing, I eventually made it back right outside my dorm room. And that's when I realized I had forgot my dorm keys. So I had to go back down, again, grab my keys, and come back. After talking with my parents further, we were pretty sure I had only sprained my foot and decided on a game plan. A plan that would stretch my social anxiety to its limits. Multiple phone calls. And after much struggling, cursing at my computer, and dropped calls, I acquired some knowledge about my situation, the most helpful of which being that there were a pair of crutches from my dorm's RA that I could use. The next morning, when my campus's health center was open, I called and made an appointment to see a doctor just to be on the safe side and get my ankle checked out. But my appointment wasn't going to be until 2:30. And I had classes that day. So, being the anxiety-ridden good student that I am, I ever so wisely decided to push through and head to class, instead of resting. I also decided to leave a half hour early to get to my class, which normally only takes me about 10 minutes to get to. And thankfully, I had a friend who was kind enough to walk with me and carry my bag for me. Now, my university's campus is not small, nor is it flat, and they really like stairs and uneven bricks. I won't bore you with the details of how exactly I got to or how class went, just know I was a little late for both classes and was covered in a film of sweat. After what had felt like forever, 2:30 finally came around, and at this point my arms were aching from the crutches, but I was going to get my answers, so I did my best to ignore the pain. The doctor was super nice, and it didn't take long for him to say that it was most likely a broken blood vessel or a fracture, since my foot was very swollen and it was the very cool shades of baby blue and purplish brown. He also said that I would need to get x-rays done just to make sure. But it was just my luck that the x-ray technician who works on campus was absent that day and wasn't going to be on campus for the entire rest of the week. Very cool. They told me that they would put in an order for an x-ray, but I would have to go to another medical center to have it done. And said medical center was almost 1.5 miles away. But thankfully there was a bus that had a stop nearby, and there was also a whole conundrum about insurance that I honestly do not remember. Before I go on further with this story, I want to say that I would have had a much harder time than I did if it weren't for my amazing friends and family. And especially to Adrian. He was with me for the entire day and helped me out so much, because my brain was not working. Alright, back to this other hospital I now had to go to. Okay, so my dad works for the hospital in question that I was being sent to, and he told me to go to this medical center first, but then to get on a shuttle bus that would then go to the hospital, because the hospital was where everything that I needed would be, not the medical center like I was told by the doctor. It's all really, really confusing. Just bear with me. Thankfully, from my parents' home to my university is only a 2-hour drive by car, and my parents told me that they would meet me at the ER and help me out. But I had to get there first. And so, the journey continues. It took us forever to get to the medical center, and then when we got there, we accidentally took a wrong entrance that was for students and faculty, not us, and got very lost, which only added to the amount of excruciating steps I had to take on those stupid crutches. Thankfully, though, there was someone to escort us to the shuttle bus. Now, we had to wait for the shuttle bus to arrive, and then we found out we also had to wait for the driver to take their break. But it was fine. Everything was fine. Finally, we got on the bus, and after another 20 minutes, we arrived at the ER. Well, not exactly. There was still a good half to full block that we needed to walk, and it was a very steep hill to the emergency room. Now at this point, I was in overwhelming pain. My arms were sore, my underarms and sides were rubbed raw, and my right leg was so tired from just holding my weight all day. But at last, I had finally made it to the hospital. I went through security, and I finally got to sit down. Now, here's where it starts to get a little fuzzy for me, as not only was I in agonizing pain, but I hadn't eaten anything since about 8:30 in the morning. And it was currently about 5:30. So clearly, my brain was not functioning on all 4 cylinders. There was a small hiccup, though, because there was a chance that if I checked into the ER, I would be billed a tremendous amount, so I called up my dad, but I remember my brain was just not working, so I wound up having to hand my phone over to my friend Adrian and have him speak for me. And after a bit of back and forth, I checked in and started waiting for my turn. Thankfully, not too long passed before my parents showed up. At this point, Adrian waited a little bit until I was situated with my parents, and then he took his leave. He had been with me from around 10:20 a.m. to the current time of 6 p.m., plus all the times he had helped me get to all of my classes. He took so much time out of his day just to make sure that I was okay and was taken care of, and I really can't thank him enough. My mom brought me pain meds and some puffed rice cakes, which honestly didn't taste like anything, but at that point, I would have eaten anything. After that, my dad also bought me a bottle of water and a little container of vanilla ice cream, and let me tell you, it felt like I was eating ambrosia, because it was so good. After eating, I could actually feel my brain slowly start to come back to a functional level. And I continued to wait for a bit until they called me back, where I finally got my x-rays, and then I got to wait some more. After what had felt like an eternity, we found out I had indeed fractured my bone. To be exact, I have a closed, non-displaced fracture of the 5th metatarsal bone of my left foot. I was given a very sexy cam boot and told to follow up with an orthopedic surgeon. Now this happened at the beginning of spring quarter, and I was taking an intermediate painting class. If this had been any other quarter, I would have been fine, as it would have been the regular slog of still life paintings and studies. Unfortunately, spring quarter is the one quarter where you go outside to paint, which is a lot more difficult than it sounds, trust me. Now, I was pretty immobile, and it was hard for me to go long distances due to the crutches and the fact that I couldn't carry anything other than my backpack. So my professor, seeing that I couldn't do what my classmates were doing, offered me the option to paint my landscapes in the building. While this was fun for the first 2 or 3 window scenes I painted, it slowly made me hate windows. My professor liked my compositions, but I felt very unsatisfied and just caged. Also, having people ask me how I broke my foot was so awkward and embarrassing because I didn't even break it doing something cool or adventurous. I had to tell people I broke it while doing laundry, which is sad. And a final note, if any of you are going to be stupid and break something, do not do it near or in summer. It sucks so much, and your limb will feel like it is melting due to the heat from your cast or boot. So until I see you in the next video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and toodaloo for now.